Where exactly are you trying to go? Give Hank some privacy over there. Hey, Tina. Hey, Larry. Well, this is the calm before the storm. Because I'm going to let them out and they're going to run crazy. And Hank just left a present in there that I'm trying to get away from. And it looks like Lionel's about to do the same, so we'll come out here instead. Bless you.
Excuse me. Hello, Lionel. What did he say you were about to do?
He was in the litter box. I thought he was about to blow it up, because Hank just did.
Right. What, buddy? You're such a wimpy little meow for such a big cat.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes he does mute meows.
Do you? Do you? You hate this? Probably. You hate it?
Well, what are you being mad at me for, Lily?
And tell me what man let you go.
These guys were a handful and a half today.
Still the gentlest one.
What is that? There's garbage on the floor that you don't need. You don't need that.
To run the, or vacuum all over the floor too, I guess. It's just dead leaves. That's what the bear tried to eat over here too.
Well, I don't leave anything to chance. They got into anything and everything they could possibly get into today. They found sandwich bags. They ran off with pins. Just about everything. A paper clip. So I was constantly getting up through the day and chasing mostly Wilson into their room and getting random things away from him.
Put her food
Speaking
down.
of the
He
culprit.
like knew the sound of the food. She's eating by the window right now,
Yeah.
maybe. She decides that her babies need her.
Stella stayed out most of the day. She didn't come out into the main room and wander around like everybody else, but she stayed. That black table, the vacuum's in the way, but where the little cave is, that black table, she kind of hung out under there all day.
Need to order you guys a new incline scratcher too. It's all cheap ones.
Come here, Doc. He says no. Got other things to do. We can go over here and scratch.
You're gonna make your mom not eat her food.
I don't even know what he's crying about.
What?
Is he over by the door?
Yeah, I closed the door to keep him out so she could eat her food.
Wilson cries
What?
for diet food.
Why?
He wants Stella's diet food more than he wants his own food.
Why? What do you want? What do you want that for? There's all this stuff you can do out here. So much room for
Yeah.
activities. Like that. Like that. Land on her. I know you guys aren't the biggest fans of each other. garbage can. Yeah. Mess.
Lily's being kind of grouchy today.
No,
I think
stop
it's
putting it in that can.
her mood is directly proportionate to how crazy the kittens act during the day, and they acted pretty nuts all day. I mean, it was a madhouse in here this morning. Claire, why don't you turn around? Come this way. No, I'm good here. We still have not found the ideal balance of how much wet food to give Clara, Lily, Stumpy, and Doc, which I think Doc will eat as much as you put in front of him. I shouldn't include him in that, but
You would probably eat a whole can.
Clara has been getting a little more, probably about twice as much as Lily and Stumpy. But then as soon as you put Lily and Stumpy's food down, she's more interested in what they've got, so she wants to try to steal theirs, and then it's just musical dishes, and I don't know who gets what. There ends up being a lot extra that we just put in a can and slap a lid on it, and it goes in the fridge for the next day. But they have access to dry food all the time, and nobody's going hungry. But therein might lie the problem, is that they have access to dry food all day, and they're not hungry in the afternoons. Is that right, Doc? I don't guess Doc got as much of a nap in as he usually does during the day because Lionel kind of borrowed his bed for the afternoon. While all the others were running around acting crazy, Percy was on top of the cat tree where Stumpy is right now. He must have slept there for at least an hour and a half, 2 hours. You want that? Is it more fun when I throw it? You learned fetch, huh? You want it? I think it went under something over there. Hey.
She stopped eating her food, so I picked it back up. So he wouldn't eat it. And she goes and eats their food, so I gave them her food.
It all works out in the end, I guess.
I know they're supposed to get kitten food, but I don't think the nutritional difference is so great that they'd be malnourished getting half kitten food.
So after 2 days, I learned a valuable lesson about Doc. If he's in this thing, don't reach in there and try to pet him, because he perceives your hand as a toy and he will latch onto it. Which is what he did to me last night, and he did it again this morning. I'm a dummy for... He popped his head out. It's got a little hole in the top that's... Oh, it's on the side right now where Claire's sticking her head out. But he poked his head out of that this morning when I got here, and I reached down to pet him, and it was on.
Like Donkey Kong.
Doc. Came back this way, Doc. Hey. Doc.
This thing is gonna come off with the string very soon. Try another one like this.
I guess you finished all that food, Wilson. Told him I guess he went in there and finished all that food. He's trying to preserve his
Still working on your
trim figure. There's a spring behind the litter box apparently, and somebody's trying to get to it.
Spring's her Zelda's favorite if she can get to before anyone else.
She's having a battle with Doc for it right now.
It's right there. It's right in front of you.
Zelda. Doc's gonna snag it.
I'm gonna close that window. I ain't watching the chat too. On that video, we're not watching.
Yeah.
Okay. You watching that? You watching that, huh?
Where you going, Hank? Claire's glaring at me. Doc is trying to knock my phone out of my hand.
Vertical distance. First he's lazy. Okay, now.
He's not lazy. He eats a lot, but he's not lazy.
Sprawl across the chair, grabbing stuff. Have your butt down, Doc. Yeah, more down than usual. Oh, oh.
Lily's still back there just being upset. Aren't you, Lily? Come here. Lily's frustrated that these guys are still here.
I'm ready to turn it up like on a video game where the music gets faster.
Hey, Magnus. Huh?
So we're ready to turn it up like on a video game where the music gets faster.
Mm-hmm.
No one thing does that.
She did come to me. Little Lily. Oh, I heard it.
What thing does that? What thing makes that noise?
Everybody noticed. Get out of the path of destruction. pulled the dry erase board out of the way, so they're slightly obstructed in where they can go. Or you could just see it as a hurdle. You can do some gymnastics.
Makes it harder for you to film. Okay. Watch YouTube.
Oh,
Who ran into who?
Zelda that hissed. I don't know who ran into her.
Who ran into you?
She got her tail all fluffed up.
Make it go really fast when it's so far away from me. Move this back so I can
Now, they're not obstructed and they can run down the little hallway.
This is all I want now. It's not so possessive. So she can't have it, it's mine.
Yeah, they can move pretty good. I just wish I had the energy. I don't have a tenth of what they have.
They don't all quite have the dedication Clara does to spinning in circles.
Doc usually does, but Wilson. Was that Stella?
Must be.
Yes. Their mom called them and everybody ran that way.
Oh, this carpet was coming up here.
It's coming up everywhere. It needs to be replaced. Hello, Lionel.
I didn't mean to spook you off. And where it's like that curve on the nut, kind of like piece of carpet connect, it's
Yeah.
loose. She was sort of stretching on it, pulled it up, so.
Well, when we're done with Kittens, we'll probably get this carpet replaced up here, but no sense in doing it now while they're still up here doing things like this. Wilson is so mean to her when it comes to that dot. It's not my mom. As you can see, we've already taped up a few patches of carpet where they've, well, I can't blame it solely on the cats. The carpet's old anyway, and there's chairs rolling on it. Furniture has been dragged across it and all kinds of things, so.
Just don't bother me. I'm in the middle of stuff.
We're just hoping that they don't wise up to the red dot. They hate going back into their room overnight now because they get to run around most of the day. The only time they go back in during the day is when I eat lunch, because I eat lunch at my desk and they haven't quite learned enough manners to be left out yet. But we also use the red dot to herd them back into their rooms, and so far it works, but I don't know how much longer it's going to work.
I haven't tried the trees. They all like the trees a lot.
They're all about 4.5 months, well, except for Doc. Doc just went that way, but
He's 5.5.
Doc is right around 5.5, but this is Zelda, that's Wilson, Lionel, Percy, and that's Hank. They're all 4.5 months. This is Clara, that's Doc's mom. The rest of her litter has all been adopted. Doc's the last one. She's only about a year old. There's Doc. He's 5.5 months. Roughly. I don't know the exact math. He was born on the 28th of April. I know that much.
Stomp on her.
There are lots of them. More than we know what to do with.
Almost tabbies all the time. Mix it up so that the red dot's exciting again when it's time to go wide.
I think Hank prefers that toy most of the time. He likes the red dot, but
He wants to pick it up and take it with him.
and all the other ones like that toy too, but not as much as Hank does. Hank and Clara. Stumpy wants to get in. That's Stumpy, by the way. I don't think you had seen her. Stumpy's about 2 years old. She had a litter of kittens that we fostered last year, and we kept Stumpy around. Stumpy's sister, Lily, is right over there, hiding up against the wall. And Stumpy, Lily, and Clara, their mom, is also the mom of all of these kittens. She's probably hiding out back that way somewhere.
Back in the room after I caught her pulling on the carpet.
She's probably 3 or so years old, but we finally got her trapped and fixed, so no more kittens for Miss Stella.
Don't jump on her dog. That's
Lily, come here. Good deal. I hope to be able to do a little more once this is all done. But we have 8 cats at home and 2 dogs. We both work full-time jobs, and we have 10 cats here. So we're a little busy. We don't really have time for much else. We're up here, which I'm here all day, Monday through Friday for work, and then we're up here twice a day on the weekends, and it's kind of consumed a lot of time.
almost 6 months now.
Yeah, as I said, these guys, Stella's kittens, which are, I'll think of his name in a minute, Hank, Lionel, Percy, Wilson, and I don't know where Zelda is.
There, in the chair.
There's Zelda. They were born on Memorial Day. Stella's kittens, which Doc is the last. That's
Clara.
Claire's kittens, yeah. Doc is the last kitten from her litter. Her kittens were born in late April. So all these guys were boarded at our vet's office for the first 4 weeks, I guess, before we decided we couldn't let them stay in a kennel anymore, and they just needed to come here and have a place to run around and all that. So we've been at this for several months now. And apparently the kitten population is such right now in Alabama that the shelters are overrun, the fosters are overrun. I'm sure there's a lot of kittens being put to sleep. But we tried to spare these guys from that. We have a standing offer to let any of these guys go to PetSmart. There's a local rescue that we're working with here that has offered up some cages at PetSmart to try to get them adopted, but the only downside to that is they do on-site adoptions when, I mean, we don't have any say on who gets them. We can't vet anybody or anything like that, which we've done with everybody else that's gotten one of Claire's kittens to this point. But I talked to the lady that runs it today, and in November they're going to do an adoption event where they'll actually be set up at PetSmart, and we can be there with these guys and meet the people that want to adopt them. So if nothing changes between now and November 10th, I think it was, we have that option. But I'm hopeful that things are going to pan out. That gives us a month from today. I think today is the 10th. I just put the date in, yeah. Today is the 10th of October, so we have a month to see what happens with these guys. I think there's a smudge on my rear-facing camera. It looks kind of cloudy.
Every time I use my phone as a phone, it puts like face smear on the camera.
But yeah, everybody's been fixed. Everybody's been vaccinated. They're all litter box trained and all that. Well, I'm glad there are more people out there doing that. Like I said, I wish we could do more, but right now we're at capacity. I'm sure at the very least we'll start giving money every month to the local rescue that's helped us along with this when all this is done. And there's 2 ferals at least outside that need to be trapped. I've got a trap in the back of my truck just waiting to catch him.
At least they're males, though.
As far as I know, they're both males, yeah. I think I'm just going to have to set it one night and come in early the next morning so he's not out there for any longer than he has to be. But I'm pretty sure there's one that is the sibling of Stumpy and Lily, who's over there.
What was that?
The mean one.
I thought that was Stella's brother.
Oh, you're right. I misspoke. That would be Stumpy and Lily's uncle. Stella's brother is still, he's definitely feral. I've been feeding him for almost as long as I fed Stella. I didn't see him quite as much.
And he does not want anything to do with us.
Well, thank you, Deborah. We'll stick it out as long as we have to. The caveat to the PetSmart cages, I was told today, is that on all the adoption cards they do state that they have to be indoor cats only, and that was one thing we've been a stickler about. We don't want any of these being outside cats. And one of Stella's last litters, we live in my office here is in a pretty busy area of town, busy streets all around, and I know for a fact that 3 of her kittens from previous litters were killed either by cars or dogs or other things. So we don't want to deal with that with any of these guys. We put too much work into them for that to happen to them.
It's just safer and better. It's better for wildlife. It's better for everybody.
That may be a thought, Aaron and Tasha. I'm not sure if you're Aaron or, but I'll suggest that. I mean, I don't know how the adoption process at PetSmart works. I know that, you know, a lot of the, okay, Aaron, a lot of the shelters here in the surrounding counties use PetSmart for their adoptions and whatnot, but I don't know what contractually they're required to do. If they just sign a form and pay them some money and say, this is my cat, or if they have to sign the dotted line agreeing to whatever terms.
Was it different between the one in Montgomery and the one in Prattville? Because in the Prattville one, they'll put tags in front of it that say like adoption pending while the cat is still in there.
Yeah, I don't know. All good questions that I need to get the answers to.
Maybe the people like adopted them on site but said, well, we can't take them home right now. We need to do X, Y, Z first, but I don't know. And even with all these cats, every time we go to the pet store, which isn't as often lately now that we're ordering a lot of stuff online instead, but every time we go, we have to walk by the cages and feel sad about not being able to save them too.
There's a lady here in town that has trapped hundreds of feral cats and done trap and release for them, and she has 2 kittens that were feral when she caught them, and she raised them from about 8 weeks on, you know, since June anyway, and she put them up there at PetSmart to try to get them adopted, and she told me today they just were not doing good, and that she was just going to go get them and take them home, which means she's got 10 cats now, so she's got us beat. I told her just to keep raising the bar so we're not the only insane people with a crazy number of cats at home.
Well, we have 10 here though.
Yeah, but
So that's
not in our tiny little
18
house.
cats total.
We have an 1,100 square foot house with 8 cats and 2 dogs in it. So
My parents, I'm from Kentucky, and my parents come and visit sometimes. they can't stay in our house anymore because we don't have a spare room with a bed in it. Everything is cats.
Yeah, Aaron, that's what I figured. I mean, and that's what I told Melanie. It was probably a deterrent if you put indoor only, and if there was something that they had to sign that said, you know, we agreed to make it indoor only. But the rescue we've been working with has a pet finder page, and his four brothers and sisters that have all been adopted have gone through Pet Finder. And we've pretty much run backgrounds on people when they send us an application to make sure there's no terrible criminal past or anything like that. We've had some red flags pop up with people that have been interested in our cats and have turned at least one away, maybe two, just because things weren't up to par. And some people would perceive that as being snooty, but like I said, we put too much time and effort into all of this to let somebody who doesn't care get them.
We love them like they're our own, but we know we can't possibly keep this many cats forever. And we knew that from the beginning when we started fostering these litters, that we can't have any more of them.
What we didn't know is that we'd be still doing this in early October when this started in late April. But it's just how it worked. I'm just happy that I have a place for everybody to hang out and they don't cause any problems. You're right, Deborah. That's been our goal.
He hasn't tried to take it away yet.
No.
Maybe it's just when he's in that room that he goes crazy for it.
There are a couple from this litter that I don't know how well they would do in a cage at PetSmart. So if I can avoid that, I would love to. Lionel would probably be okay. Percy would probably be okay.
Percy.
That's Percy over there that's trying to get into the food bags. But I don't know that Hank would do well in a cage. And I'm not sure about Wilson. Wilson has improved drastically the last couple of weeks, though. I think he's becoming more and more personable as Doc scales my back.
He only hopped on, right?
Oh, he got me.
Well, Wilson took it. Wilson got it.
It's killing my back sitting on the floor like that.
Hank says, no, you can't have it. It's mine.
So.
Take it with you.
Yeah, whenever they get things, they retreat to their room with them where it's dark and you can barely see, but Wilson found a stash of sandwich bags earlier. Ours too. Typically they want the stick more than the ribbony part of it. I'm sorry if you can't really see in here. My phone does not do well in this room, and it never has. There's plenty of light on the main stream, but for whatever reason, my phone hates it. And I guess while I'm in here, we'll look at Stella. We can turn the light on. This is Stella. She's had countless litters outside, and I fed her for a good 3 years before we caught her, but she would disappear for a week or two when she would first have her kittens, and I never knew where they were. I never knew where she was. And she would come back around, and I'd see that she'd been nursing, and I couldn't just snatch her up and take her away from Kittens. So I had to wait and wait and wait, and she would come back around, and then the next thing you know, she came back around and she'd be pregnant again. And that cycle went on and on and on until earlier this year, when it was obvious that she was not pregnant, and the kittens that we had been seeing, one of them being Clara, we trapped her. The other one, Clara's brother, who was always known as Tabby because he's a tabby, and the name stuck. He's at our house. He's cat number 8. So once we knew they were grown and she wasn't pregnant again, I was going to say we trapped her. I picked her up and put her in a carrier. I mean, she was trusting enough of me that I could just pick her up. But I had to trap Clara. Tabby, we just interacted with more and more until he kind of got tame, and one day I just picked him up.
I think we skipped a step in the story.
I probably did.
When we thought she wasn't pregnant, we talked about trapping her, but then Clara showed up, super pregnant, so we trapped Clara, and then Stella ended up looking pregnant too. So
Yeah, they were both trapped about the same time. I mean, roughly within a week or so of each other.
So
And that's
she
Clara,
hadn't
by the
been
way. I think I told
as
you
far
that.
along as she was, we had been open to having her just fixed and, the kittens aborted, but she was so far along that she ended up having them at the vet instead.
Yeah, and it pains me to say that I went in there and asked about having the kittens aborted, but she had had so many kittens. But the vet talked me out of it and offered him up a place to stay until we could get everything situated. And I'm glad now, even though these guys are every waking moment, it seems like, but we'll get them adopted eventually.
You're good little cats.
You get mad at it?
You hit it really hard.
Yeah, Deborah, that was, and Melanie talked about it yesterday. We started out watching Kitten Academy before we had ever tried to undertake any of this, but we thought there would be local outreach, and we put on all the flyers I've done, which I need to make more. I need to make some updated ones. But I've made flyers and circulated them to the vet's office. We put a QR code, which if you scan it, goes to our YouTube channel. But we've gotten very little local interest that way. The only local interest we've gotten as far as adoptions has been through the Pet Finder page. But no, it's definitely not. I'm about to ramp up Facebook ads, which we've done a few times, and I mean, we got plenty of impressions, but nobody that saw the videos or the streams and said, oh, I want one of those cats. So maybe the third time's the charm. But as I ramble on, it's now 6:30. We've been going for 45 minutes. So I think we'll wrap for today, but I'm glad to see the new faces in here. We do this generally every day during the week, Monday through Friday. We do, Aaron. Yeah, if you go to our main channel, you'll see them. One of them in this main room where we are now, it only comes on from 5 p.m. until about 8:15, 10 minutes till 8 in the morning, because we do business out of this room, and I don't want to wig anybody out by having cameras on and all that while we're here for work. But the other 2 streams stay on 24 hours a day. We've got one in Stella's room with her kittens, and we've got one where Clara and her kittens used to live, but that door stays open, and Doc and Lily and Clara and Stumpy all kind of wander in and out of there periodically. So we've got those, and we do these streams Monday through Friday, usually at 5:30 Central Time every day.
During the week.
I said Monday through Friday.
We do them on the weekend.
Saturday and Sunday is kind of a crapshoot as to what time we do them. It just kind of depends. But we try to announce in the chat before we come up here and do them. There'll be one day typically during the week, either Tuesday or Thursday usually, where we might be a little later than 5:30 doing them. But as a general rule, we shoot for 5:30 Monday through Friday. But I thank you guys, Larry, Deborah, Aaron. I'm trying to scroll back through and see who everybody was. What was that? I haven't seen that name before. Magnus. Thank you everybody for watching the stream, and Tina. You were the first one, and then you were quiet. It almost slipped my mind. But yeah, thank you guys. And as I say, we try to do this every day at 5:30. But that's going to do it for us today. So thank you everybody, and we hope to see you tomorrow.